singer. Oh my god.
You love singing with me?
And welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Spotlight. For this episode, we got the future Bob Ross, we got the future Picasso, Black Picasso here with us for this episode. I got my bro Andrew. Well, I call him AJ. With us. Say what's up to the people.
What's good? What's good? Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, no problem. How you feeling over there?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
That's what's up, man. How's are you're not still in school, are you? I know you've been at Longwood a couple times, but are you still in school?
Nah, I graduated in
Gotcha.
December of last year. I'm in a working artist program, so I
Okay.
have access to the art studio in Bedford, and I occasionally come down to Longwood and just kind of like work on paintings in there.
Okay. So what's that program about? Like,
It's mainly just like a program that's just designed to give like artists an opportunity to kind of further their artistic career. Despite the name, it's not a job per se, because some of my friends like who've like asked me about that have thought that it was a job, but it's like, nah, I believe me, I wish I would get paid. But nah, it's just a program to just give artists like a space and equipment and time to just work and develop their own body of work in whatever disciplines. So they have it for painters, sculptors, ceramic people, jewelers. They have it for like all that stuff.
yeah, true. That's what's up. So to get into a little bit of your background. I said, well, I already mentioned you went to Longwood, so get into just a little bit about what you do, what you went to school for, and everything like that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So, like you said, I went to Longwood, and initially, when I was a freshman at Longwood, my major was psychology. But after the first semester, my freshman year, I changed that to fine arts. And specifically, my concentration was painting and drawing.
Uh,
And as such, I've I have like skills in like the painting and drawing area, and that's primarily what I do. And and with the painting, the type of paint that I normally use is acrylic paint. I've done some work with oil before. I don't haven't done a whole lot with it like as of lately, but it's definitely something that I want to get back into at some point in the future. But yeah, I mean, and even when I was younger, I always had like an interest in art, and I always did a lot of drawings and stuff. But it wasn't until I was like an art major where I actually started painting more, and I started developing my skill in that discipline.
okay. So that was so were you interested in art at a younger age, or that's something you kind of like found it's more interest in when you got to college?
I don't know, I've always been interested in art since a young age, and honestly, because like I said, I always like drawing, and this was the time before I actually started getting sketchbooks.
Mm.
So I would always use the copy paper from the printers, and that was always something that would annoy the hell out of my dad because he would want to print something, but
Taking up all the
not enough
paper, man.
paint. Exactly. So I know like I know my parents was happy when I started just actually getting my own sketchbooks and stuff like that.
I bet they were, because I'm not a drawer or anything like that, but we used to do the same thing. Me and my brother, we get the paper out of the printer, using all of that just to draw some crazy stuff, just to throw away after we finish. You know what I'm saying? But do you remember like the first picture you ever drew, or like the first painting?
Um, Trying to think because it's a lot that I've done. So it's just like
Right.
trying to remember the very first one. Mm, I can't even I can't even remember exactly what's the first thing like I've drawn, but it was like in terms of like one of the first things I painted, like it was shoot, I think it was like a boondock style painting. And I remember exactly what it looks like. I don't have a picture of it, but I definitely remember what it looks like. And when I think about that one and I compare it to the most recent Boondocks painting that I've done, I just can see like how much growth I've had and how
Oh
like my
yeah,
skill has developed.
that's what's up. So I know so like did you like you got into a paint at a young age? Like did you see something on TV or did you see somebody drawing or was it a class when you went to school? Like what really sparked your interest in art?
Um, Honestly, I think one of the things that really got me interested in drawing was so I don't do you remember the old cartoon Static Shock?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember after like when you watch the episodes, like at the end of some of those episodes, they would have like those segments where they show like the creator of the show like drawing characters of the like drawing like the prominent characters from like those like specific episodes.
Right.
And I remember seeing that. That was definitely something that I thought was cool. And of course, like I love Static Shock because it's like they took two of my favorite things, like being a black person and like the teenage superhero stuff of Spider-Man and just combine it together. And I was like, yo, that's dope.
Dope. Facts. That's really on my first thought when I first saw it because you never really seen anything like that at that age anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But let's backtrack a little bit. If y'all don't know, if y'all don't know this, AJ is my D9 brother. He's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Um, at long, we both went to Longwood University. So how has like since joining, how has that helped you grow as as an individual?
Oh yeah, I would say it definitely helped me grow a lot because we both went along, we know that we come from small chapters. It is what it is, and as a result, there's like a lot of stuff that we got to take care of, and because it's not a whole lot of us, we have to do what we can with what we've got. And I would say that's definitely something that's contributed to my work ethic and just like the way that I get things done because I can't necessarily always depend on other people to like assist or like get stuff taken care of. And there are times where I just have to learn how to work with what I've got.
Mhm. Most definitely. What would you say? How can I word this? Like, have you ever experienced like some challenging times on campus as a black student?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say I remember it was close to 3 years ago. I remember it was like during my junior year. There was this one period at Longwood where it was just a bunch of BS going on because there was like I remember HLA, the Hispanic Latino Association, they was dealing with um their flyers being vandalized. There were um alt
I remember
right
that.
stickers popping up on campus and stuff. And I remember there was one instance of a student who was a member of the LGBTQ plus community, and they found out that their car was tampered with, like the tires, and luckily they managed to find that out before they got on the road or anything. But it
Nice.
was just a whole lot. It was just a whole lot of stuff that was going on that year that like the minority students we knew about it, but like the larger campus community wasn't fully aware.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. What was that? Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't attending, but I do remember. I think I was still working there, if I'm not mistaken, when that happened. But yeah, like you said, as being a minority along, it can be challenging at time. But I think the best thing I know for me personally about how close the community were on campus, even though we was a small part, we were still close, and you can always depend on the next person. With anything, honestly. Um, so I asked that just because, like, with your paintings, like mostly, of course, is inspired by Black individuals and everything like that. Especially like that last one you did with the six. I forgot it was like Issa, Steve Urkel. I don't wanna miss no name and everything like that. Um, like what do you want people to see when they look at your artwork?
Well, essentially, for me, I guess like a good way to answer that question is to kind of like refer to one of the faces that was in that picture, Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, because to me he's like one of my personal favorite artists because he represents the kind of Black person to where he's completely fine not being that stereotypical Black person and not necessarily having to and not caring about how others view him because especially like in a lot of his like earlier music that was often a theme in some of his songs where he was considered a whack Black or not being Black enough or not really receiving the same attention as other Black people simply because he didn't quote unquote act Black. And in one of his songs, he said, I make music for whack Blacks. And like I just make the kind of music that I would have liked. And so that's just kind of how I do the things that I do with my painting. I just try to make the kind of art that I want to see on my walls. And that's just kind of how I go about in my creative process with a lot of my paintings. I just had this mentality. It's like, all right, if I make this painting, would I want to put this on my walls? And I always keep that question in my head because in my head, if I wouldn't want it on my walls, why would anyone else want it on their wall?
Yeah, that's what's up. Um, I guess how do you? I guess a question, follow-up question is how should people view art just in general? Like how, you know, we see the paintings, but of course, a lot of paintings have deeper meanings behind them. Like how should we view art and just open our minds up more to just the meaning behind just different pieces of art?
That's a good question because like the one of the beautiful things about art is that it really can be interpreted however the viewer wants it to. So it's like for me personally, I'm a fan of aesthetic qualities. And because if you see a lot of my paintings, something that you might notice is that there's a sense of vibrancy to it. Like those vibrant colors that you might see.
Yeah.
I do that. I do that because it's instantly going to grab your attention. So that's something that can like pull the viewer in. I remember I made a point like that um when I had my senior um art assessment as a part of my senior thesis. And with that, like I said, with the like using all these like bright vibrant colors, they pull the viewer in. And essentially I want to make sure that whatever it is they're looking at, it looks good. And then and because they're being pulled in by like these bright colors and this beautiful image, the hope is that as they're looking at it, they start to see like what's actually going on in the image. Mm-hmm. And as they start to see that, they'll start to see that there's a lot more meaning going on than just surface level. Right. So in a way, it's kind of like how, like when we as people, like some people have a tendency to be beautiful on the inside and not on the outside or vice versa. And I guess with my painting, I'm trying to make the outside and the inside be the same to where it has aesthetic quality and it has quality in its meaning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, most definitely. So what does for you, what does art mean to you? You've got to put a meaning to it.
Honestly, for me, I've always felt that art is a great way to communicate without having to speak at all. Because I know that, like, in my, like, when I was younger, was never really a talkative person. And there were times where I either was like a bit shy when it comes to like talking, speaking my mind or anything, or I just didn't feel like what I had to say mattered. So for me, art just kind of gave me an opportunity to like showcase my talent, like speak what's on my mind, essentially do a whole lot of things without even having to open my mouth.
Right.
And so it just kind of gave me like a sense of power in that sense, in a way.
I feel that. What so with your art, is it kind of like therapeutic when you doing your pieces and everything like that?
Definitely. I would definitely say it is, because in the so like I'm working on like a series of painting right now that focus on issues within the Black community, some that I've personally experienced and some that I've definitely like heard a lot about. And some of these things I really connect with, and they're like very meaningful to me. Like, so like the most recent one where it had all those various faces, so like Issa Rae, Steve Urkel, Donald Glover, Will Smith. That one was definitely one personal to me, and definitely to like a lot of my friends, because we've definitely experienced that instance of our Blackness being called into question just because we don't act a certain way or we don't think a certain way. And another one that I did was one regarding mental health in the Black community. Essentially, it was the idea in that painting was how it feels when we as Black people aren't given an opportunity or the space to actively communicate about our issues, and like how it feels and how it kind of feels when it seems like we have no one to turn to or nowhere to seek help from. And there have been times where it just felt like couldn't I didn't know who to talk to, or I didn't really have anyone to talk to, or it felt like anytime I did say anything, it was like I was going unheard. So it's definitely something that I connect with. And even now, there have been like some instances where I'm feeling down, and I think back to that painting because sometimes it just reflects how I'm feeling at some points in my life.
That how well what do you I guess it's a two-part question. With the past pieces that you already painted, where did you get that inspiration from, and then how do you get your inspiration to for your paintings and everything?
Uh, well, I honestly tend to get my inspiration from other media, and by that I mean I tend to, whether it be the movies or TV shows that I watch, and or like the music that I listen to, I tend to get like influence from I guess like the entertainment industry, I guess you could say, because there's just like a lot of crossover and like the themes and ideas that we see in music, TV, and movies, and a lot of those things are like present in art as well. And I'm gonna go back to Donald Glover again. Like I said, he's one of my favorite artists, like and people in the entertainment industry, because something that one of the songs that he did, that I guess you could say the music video that he did, that's really been inspirational and like influential to me as an artist, is the music video for "This Is America," because it was just this idea that while all that craziness was happening in that video, he was keeping our attention on him while he's dancing and singing along. And so it's like this idea, by him pointing out like this idea that we have a tendency to get distracted from the real issues that's going on around us. And one of the reasons why that's definitely influential is because I remember my junior year, like I said, that year where all that crazy shit was happening at Longwood, I made a painting that, well, it was like a couple paintings that had to deal with that particular issue at Longwood and like in society at the time. And it was heavily influenced by Donald Glover. It even features the classic pose where he's holding that gun and shoots the guy. And that piece was actually published in Longwood's Insight academic journal.
I know you mentioned Danny Glover a lot. Do you have any other individual that you catch inspiration from, or any other like artists, painting artists that you get inspiration from?
Oh yeah, definitely. This is gonna sound like an easy one, but I mean, I definitely get influence from him. Kehinde Wally is definitely a big one, because when I look at his work, I just see like the way that he represents Black people and how he essentially is taking these traditionally white paintings, these white images, and replacing them with everyday Black people. And because with like all those old traditional white paintings, they're depicted as heroic or like of importance. And when he takes Black people and pretty much puts them in those positions, to me, it's like he's saying that we are just as important as these other white people.
Facts. I'm not sure all that you do when it comes to painting, but is there another like skill that you would like to pick up? Maybe like when I say that, I mean like maybe like graffiti or finger paint, different types of painting people do, different type of artworks that people do. Do you want to pick up any of those as well, besides like the standard the paintbrush, canvas?
Oh no, I definitely understand. No, I definitely want to. Like I said, I've done some oil paintings. I haven't done a whole lot, but oil is something that I definitely want to get back into, as well as watercolor. Something that I also want to get into is photography, because I mean, sometimes it's just, there are instances where I'll be out and I'll see stuff around, and it just really feels like a once in a lifetime thing to see. Like especially if it's like around sunset, the way like the sky looks, it's like you just have to capture that at that moment, because the way that it looks is like no other. And I don't know, photography is just definitely something else I would like to pick up, as well as like at graffiti style art and like with like spray paint and all that. That's definitely another skill that I would love to pick up one day.
That's dope. Most definitely. So with your artwork, what vision do you have for your artwork? Like, how do you want it to impact people? How far you want to take it? What's your vision and goals for your art?
I guess the best way to describe my vision is, so in my page, like on my IG page, I have let's like towards the bottom, I have it to where it says inspiring, unapologetic Black. And essentially it's like when I make paintings, I want it to reflect at the very least one of those three things. I want my work to be inspiring. I want people to look at that and feel a sense of pride in who they are. I want it to be unapologetic, to where whatever statement I make in any paintings, I stand by it, and it's completely unwavering. And I want it to be Black. And I remember I read one article. It was around the time when Get Out came out by Jordan Peele, and he was discussing his decision to put predominantly Black characters in the lead role. And he, especially in like the types of movies that he's making. And he said he has nothing against white people in these instances, but I've already, as he said in that article that I read, I've already seen that movie. I want to see something different. I want to see something that reflects me. I want to see more Black people. And essentially that's what it is that I want to do. I just want to put Black people in these artworks so that they feel represented.
I like it. So last question. So what's your what is AJ's purpose? Why do he do what he do every day? What is your motivation?
That's a real good question. I guess for me, because like I grew up as a church boy. You know, I grew up like as Steve Harvey said, I grew up in the church. And so to me, I've always felt that my skill was like a God-given talent. And to me, something that would be a waste is if I had a God-given talent and didn't use it at all. And there have been many times where I've seen the reactions people have had when they've gotten a painting or been surprised with a painting that I've done. And just by seeing and every time I see the reaction, it just reminds me that this is what I'm supposed to do. The fact that I'm able to have this effect on people shows that I'm on the right path. And there are times where it's not easy. There are times where it feels like my career as an artist is stunted or it's like going slow. But it's like, despite how difficult it may be at times, I know for a fact that this is something that I should be doing, and it's something that I want to continue doing.
That's good. So I like to hear. So yeah, but that was the last question. And with that, I appreciate you for taking the time to get on the Zoom call with me to spotlight what you got going on in the art industry. Do you want to leave everyone with maybe a last word, or just like promote like your social media or anything like that, how they can reach you, how they can find your artwork?
All right. I guess I can do a little bit of both. So I guess like the positive message I can impart is pretty basic, but I mean, it gets the job done. It's like believe in yourself. Don't give up, because there are a lot of times it's gonna get hard. And I know like people probably look at the stuff that I post on my social media, they probably think that I've made a success as an artist. And while that is true to a certain extent, it's not easy, because with social media, we have a tendency to showcase the good stuff, like the absolute us at our absolute best.
It's a highlight reel.
And exactly, a highlight reel. And while there is nothing wrong with that, something that I try to do with my social media, whether it be the images that I post, the reels, or like in the captions of my post, I try to keep it as real as possible. And matter of fact, in one of my recent posts, I even like went on there talking about how I struggle with this sometimes, and how it feels like not much is happening. But like I was telling you, it's something that I want to do.
Yeah.
And no matter what, I'm going to keep at.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So once again, appreciate you for coming. Make sure y'all follow him on IG. He didn't mention this, but I'm mentioning it for him. Follow him on IG, art.x.aj. Check out his work. Got some great stuff on there. Make sure you support him as a black artist, just for everything that he's doing. And make sure y'all can subscribe to our channel as well. Listen to our regular podcast anywhere you listen to. And with that, y'all stay blessed, y'all stay safe, and we out here.